It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome, welcome. It's the Jill on Money Show, the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. I am Jill Schlesinger, CBS News business analyst and a certified financial planner. We are here to help you navigate what lies ahead. If you've got a financial question, just go to our website, jillonmoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. We'll get your note. While you're there, you've got to check out Jill on Money Live. For $35, you get 4 quarterly webinars. The next one coming up this month, Heather Schreiber. She's a Social Security expert, and it's going to be a vibrant conversation. June 25th, 7 p.m., Jill on Money Live. Okay, let's get to you. We're going to talk to Joan from Portland, Oregon. Hello, Joan. How are you?
Hi, Jill. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Great. What brings you to us today?
Well, I just turned 59 and I retired from a corporate job 4 years ago. I'm single. I just want some advice on how to best navigate withdrawing money when I'm ready to do that. I do have a pension and I found a really fun part-time job that I'm working on right now. So I do have monthly income that supports my monthly expenses.
So you're saying the pension and your fun part-time job cover your expenses?
Correct. My monthly expenses.
That's amazing.
I haven't needed to dip into any of my retirement money in the 4 years that I have left my previous job.
All right. Question.
Okay.
So how hard was it to make the decision to leave?
Not hard at all.
Really?
Because
people have
planning.
like a hard time. People are like struggle and they So what do I need to tell people? You've retired and you are now on the other side of this. Give us some advice to help our listeners who are in your situation about how you successfully navigated this. Tell us about your story a little bit.
Okay. Well, I've always wanted to be able to retire at 55, so I made a strategic goals for myself to pay off a mortgage by a certain age, to hit the $1 million mark. It was just something that was my personal goal. I'm just responsible for myself. I don't have any children. So it's just little old me. And so my job, it was pretty stressful, and not that I hated it, but it wasn't something where I wake up in the morning and look forward to it. So I figured, you know what? There is no right time to leave. The more time you spend, the more money you make, it's just harder and harder to leave. So I thought, you know what, there's no better time. And so when COVID hit, my company offered voluntary layoff. So I jumped right on it. So I was able to walk away with a very generous severance package, which I put it right into my account, and I haven't dipped into that either. And I have no regrets.
That's awesome. Did you line up the part-time job before you left?
No. So during COVID, so I left right at the beginning of COVID. And so, of course, for 2 years, I stayed at home. And I found that I'm just not the retired type. I got so bored. And so I wanted to find something fun. So I went and started looking, and I found this really fun job, and I'm loving it.
That's great.
Yeah, I work 25 hours, and it's extra income that I did not plan for. But I welcome it.
Yeah, really. No kidding.
Yeah.
And how do you get covered for health care?
I'm lucky enough that I am able to stay on my company retiree medical until I qualify for Medicare.
Oh, that's a big part of it, right?
And I only pay $200 a month
gosh.
for it. And it's pretty comprehensive. So I'm very, very blessed to be able to have that. If not, I would not have left my job because
I do hear, I think that there are people who are kind of taught, it's so funny. It's like when people say golden handcuffs. I mean, I work with people at CBS who are in the similar situation. They might be in their 50s or they have a good pension or they have this, but they're like, well, some of these old pensions don't have health care. And so when they go in, look at the cost of health care and they start kind of staring that down, in the face, and they're like, I'll stick around for a little bit longer and be covered. So you're right. It is a great gift.
Yes.
So you're not dipping into any of your savings at this point, right?
Correct.
And is most of your money that you have accumulated, is it in a pre-tax retirement? Is it in brokerage? Like how did you save for yourself?
Do you want me to give you the breakdown?
Why not?
Okay. So I have 1.7 mil in my company 401k that I just left it there. I didn't move it elsewhere.
Okay.
I have 1.5 in taxable mutual funds that I had contributed to while I was working for 20 to 30 years. There's a total of 4, so it's about 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
I have 70,000 in money market that's earning about 4%.
Great.
I have 300K in CDs with various maturity date and various interest rate. Mm-hmm. They're all probably 4 to 5%. I normally just do one year, nothing greater than 1 year. So I kind of ladder it.
Great.
I have about 220 or 230 in Roth IRA, some mutual funds, and a couple individual stocks.
Okay, this is great. And you own your home, which is paid off. How much is it worth?
Okay. Probably 2.4 to 2.6 mil.
Wow. And do you want to stay there?
Yes.
Okay. So this is like the embarrassment of riches question. Joan from Portland is essentially in great shape, obviously. So but you also said, I think very self-aware, hey, it was just me. I took care of myself. You probably made a lot of money when you were working, socked it away, and you were very goal-oriented, which is fantastic. So do you have anyone else you have to think about? Do you have aging parents or siblings or nieces and nephews or, a boyfriend, girlfriend that you're like, I really want to make sure I take care of this person? Like anyone that you can think of like that?
Yes, I have all of that. Okay. And so I, based on my personality, I don't think I'm going to, spend down to the last penny. So I'm sure I will be leaving, whatever I don't use to them. And I think that's part of the problem is I've been geared to save for 30 years. And now I actually have a fear of spending money.
This is totally common. This must be a special, this is a little bit of a Jill on Money special listener type. Okay. We run into people like you all the time. And I think part of the reason is that we are, if you are completely focused on long-term saving and investing in what we like to call your accumulation phase, right? That's what's built into your brain. You have been told this over and over and over, like save, put a little bit away, be consistent, Now you've done that your whole life. No one has taught us how to decumulate after accumulating. And so I think what is very challenging about that is if you're the type of person who's been doing that your whole life, how to shift. Yep. And maybe part of the shift has to do with how we're going to try to get some of the money out of that company 401k so that when you turn 75, you are not walloped with like this massive required minimum distribution. We'll get back to Joan in just a minute. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we will be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions. Let's get back to Joan from Portland, Oregon. Ideally, if you wanted to maximize your wealth and what you're doing, what we would be doing is we would say, okay, let's take that company 401k, let's convert it to a Roth environment, and let's do it, over time and get that money out. But now I'm worried that if I do that for you, it's going to sit in the Roth and you're never going to spend it. Okay, so how much money, what's your total income right now, Joan?
I take home approximately $5,000 a month.
Okay.
Can I interrupt you on
Sure.
the converting to Roth? So currently, some of my biggest expenses every year. I mean, I'm able to manage my monthly expenses, food, grocery, all that kind of stuff with my monthly take home.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do have a huge property tax bill.
Yep.
I do have to pay estimated taxes because of the 4 mutual funds that generate dividends and capital gains.
Yep.
So I'm already paying for my IRS $15,000 every year. So by converting, is that still better than waiting for RMD? You know what I mean? At 75.
Well, first of all, I mean, when you're making that, how much the property tax you're paying when you say 15,000? Are you saying quarterly estimates of 15,000?
Oh no, I'm sorry, the whole year. Just estimated taxes.
Okay,
which
that's
to me it's like a lot, but maybe it's
calm
not.
down, calm down, calm down. Jeez, oh my God. Okay.
Okay.
So what's happening is when you have that 15,000. Are you pulling that out of your CDs or your money market to pay those estimates?
Sometimes if I don't have enough in my money market, I will do that.
Okay. So what I'm going to suggest is this. So yes, I get it. Property tax on a $2.5 million house is a lot. And you have money that is being generated from these mutual funds, which, by the way, I'm not thrilled about, but we'll talk about that separately. Okay. But what I think might be helpful is right now, I think that your top tax bracket is 22% because you're not making, you don't have an adjusted, even with those distributions. Is your adjusted gross income above $100,000?
A little bit over 100.
Okay. So your top bracket is 24%. All right.
Okay. Yep.
I mean, obviously, once you start, is your plan to claim Social Security when you're 70?
That is my plan.
Okay. So I think between now and age 70, we can use the fact that you're in the top bracket of 24% to take some money out of your company 401k and pay the tax on it. Just like very, very easy. You don't have to make it a lot. You can take $50,000 if you wanted to. Okay. And just say, but now I want you to spend that money.
Okay.
Can you? Would you? If I told you, you know what, you got to take $50,000 out of your company 401k, I need you to spend half of it.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. I am splurging on upcoming vacation.
Good.
I'm spending a lot of money. And then I'm just like, oh my God, is this going to open up a door for me to this become the norm?
Why not? Why can't it be?
I guess
how much money do you want to spend on a splurgy trip?
Okay. So on this trip, I'm probably spending between 25 to 30K.
So if you did that every year, that would be wonderful.
And I can afford it.
Yes.
I'm not going to run out of money.
No, you can't. You can't. Would not. You're not going to run out of money. Also, you're constitutionally incapable of really spending beyond that kind of a splurge, it sounds like. And I would pull the money. I think I would pull the money out of the 401k. But I want to talk about these taxable mutual funds. What kind of funds are these? They're managed funds that are creating a tax event?
So I have Vanguard Star Fund. I have a Vanguard Growth Index.
Yeah.
I have a capital T. Rowe Price Capital Appreciation, and I have a Mayors Empower Growth Fund.
Okay.
I stopped contributing 4 years ago. These were 4 funds that I did when I was working, putting it aside, my dollar cost averaging.
Yep. But they all have very low cost basis, right?
Yes.
Okay. So are you charitably inclined by the way?
Yeah, I am.
Have you looked, so is this all held at Vanguard?
No, they're kind of spread out.
What I might do is I would try to consolidate, and I would look at opening a donor advised fund and here's how this works. This will help you if you're going to take some money out. So with a donor advised fund, which is basically, you can do this at Vanguard or T. Rowe Price or Fidelity. These are all the big companies have this. All right. And what happens is you have an account, and it is basically the account from which you make charitable donations. Now, the cool thing is you can take something with a low cost basis. Let's say you're like this growth, what did you say? The M&G Growth Fund or something?
Mayors Empower Growth Fund.
Okay. I have no idea what that is, but let's just presume that is something. It sounds to me like there's trading that's going on. I bet that's the one that distributes a lot. You take a low basis fund and you now gift shares of the fund into the donor advised fund. Okay. You pay no tax on that money. It is whatever that value is. It goes into and now the money goes into the donor advised fund, and that money comes in, it's cash. So you're like, I'm putting it in here. And now it goes in. And once it's in the donor advised fund, you don't have to give it away all at once. You could do some this year, some next year, some the next year. It's a great way to be like, okay, if you looked at your tax return from last year and you said, well, what I actually did was I gave away 10 grand last year. And you said, over the next 5 years, I'm going to do the same thing. You just gift from this fund.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And you get a great tax advantage from doing so. Okay. And now it takes the money that's inefficient in a managed mutual fund that's creating a tax liability, gives you and you can do this. You know, it's very interesting. The money you put in the donor advised fund, okay, if you're pulling money out of your 401k and at the same time putting money into the donor advised fund, it has like a balancing effect on your tax situation, because you have income coming from the 401k, but you are now putting money into your donor advised fund where you'll get a tax deduction. And so it is do you work with a CPA?
No, and that's my problem is I've been doing it all by myself, and I don't know where to go to find like a good, reputable person to help me.
You have no friends who are like have a good accountant or somebody, or do you want a financial planner?
I haven't really asked, so I'll have to do research on that.
I would look at that. I also might even tell you that, like, look, you got a lot of money. You're doing a great job. There's nothing bad that's going to happen, but there could be some interesting ideas here where even if you looked and you talked to a CPA and just said, look, I'm going to pull money out of my 401k. I'm thinking about doing a donor advised fund at the same time. Or maybe you'll just talk to somebody at Vanguard where they have a service of advice and you can pay someone for that. Okay. I mean, and I don't know, like you said, you have all your accounts in different places. Can you pick one place and just hold it there?
Yeah, I can do that. That's what
I would do. Where is the Roth held?
Charles Schwab.
So just pick one place. If it's Charles Schwab, that's great. Schwab has this also. Schwab has a donor advised fund. You can talk to somebody. And if you needed a CPA or a financial planner, then ask some of your friends, chit chat. I'm just scared that someone's going to try to sell you product. You don't you need advice. You need someone you can pay for advice, but not product.
Okay. So are you saying that I should start doing the withdrawing for tax sufficiency, the donor advice fund from one of my mutual fund and put that in there?
Yeah.
And then in addition, do I start now at 59 withdrawing?
I want you to pull some money out of that 401k.
Now?
Yeah, why not? At 59 and a half or 60. Yeah, pull some money out. That is going to create a massive tax liability for you. Like if you let this money grow and it goes to $4 million, let's just pretend you had $4 million in this account right now and you were 75 years old. You'd have to you know what your RMD would be? $160,000.
Okay.
That'd be huge. And no choice, no control. So let's get some of this money out. And try to manage your tax liability a little bit.
I see. Okay, very good.
If you've got a question, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. The Jill on Money Show will be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to help you make better or less bad financial decisions. If you've got a question, just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. When you write your note, we get your email, and from time to time, we read emails on the air, like right now. This note is from Jim, and Jim writes, I'll be 57 this year, and I am a federal employee that makes $100,000 a year. I save roughly $22,000 every year, mostly to my Roth thrift savings plan and my IRA. I live in Idaho and I plan to work 5 to 7 more years before getting an annual pension of $32,000. When I turn 67, I plan to turn on another state pension of $19,500 a year. I mean, I have to just say, I'm turning it on. Wish I could do that, man. And he also has Social Security of $35,000. It's a lot of income, isn't it? He owns a home. Jim says it's worth $625,000. I owe $160,000. And I've got a bunch of equity. Okay. Monthly mortgage, he says, gives me the number at 3.1%. It's due to be paid off in 8 years. Oh my God. This guy's like awash in money. $630,000 in retirement accounts. And $375,000 is Roth. Then another $475,000 in brokerage accounts. My partner, who's 59, earns $75,000 a year and will have a $55,000 pension in 3 years, no other savings. She will wait until she is 67 to collect Social Security, and that would be about $28,000. That's nothing to sneeze at. $55,000 in a pension and $28,000, kind of good. Okay, annual spending is about $110,000 a year, including the mortgage and her car payment. No other debt. We want to buy a home over the next year or two in preparation for our next and final move. And we want to know how wise it would be to do so prior to actually moving and selling our current home. I'm just looking at the numbers. We're going to be looking to spend $850,000, and he'd put down $300,000 from the brokerage account. We've considered renting it out as an Airbnb prior to our move, if necessary. With a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage on the new house of 6.75%, we would be looking at $4,400 monthly payment. And once I retire, we'd sell the house, the current house in Idaho, put the proceeds to paying off Montana. What are your thoughts on whether this is feasible for us? Is it a wise decision to take on a second mortgage, meaning a second property for 5 to 7 years? Well, let me just look at this. I got to just eyeball these numbers. I mean, you've got so much money between the two of you, just in terms of your total income. And I know it's not this second because this is, 10 years from now, but still, we're looking at having all the money you basically need in guarantees, right? 2 pensions, 1 Social Security for you, one pension, 1 Social Security for her. But I don't love owning 2 homes at once. I got to be honest with you. Even though I know you couldn't afford it, here's how I would plan it. I would say you can look around. If you found the house that you love, you can execute your strategy. But I would prefer that you wait until you're really ready to retire. I mean, they've got the money to do it, but there's no real compelling reason to do it now. In fact, I think the longer you wait, the lower interest rates go. But I also, Jim, would say, if you found like the property you fell in love with and you had to cough up the money, yeah, sure, you can do it. Of course, you'd have a capital gain on a lot of the assets, but I'm okay with that. So I think you're okay. You say partner, not spouse. So I just want to make sure that all of your documents are in order because that's always an important thing to do when you're buying real estate together. All right, let's do this one. This is an email from Randy who writes, "Hi, Aunt Jill and cousin Mark. You're a cousin. I'm an aunt. That just shows you how old I am." Okay. Randy says, "We have a 529 plan for our 16-year-old son's college savings. $60,000 have been saved so far. But with all the government student loan forgiveness, I'm starting to think that saving in a 529 isn't the best plan. Would we be better off putting the money into our own Roth retirement accounts or a mutual fund and then just borrow the college money with a student loan? I feel like the loan is the best option because they don't have to be paid anyway in many scenarios. Why do it, right? However, if a fiscally responsible administration comes into power and doesn't create more loan forgiveness, you could always use the Roth money or mutual fund to help fund the kid with student loans. Right now, I don't see the 529 as a shrewd savings tool when borrowing via student loans that get forgiven could be. Am I missing something? Okay, here's what I think you're missing. Okay, Randy, I think that, first of all, the loan forgiveness isn't for everyone. Number one, it really depends on your income level. Number two, it's not for all loans. We know it's not that broad based. It really has to do with people who are lower income people who've had these loans for a long time. Do I think all loans are going to be forgiven? No. And I think you have 60 grand and the kid's 16, right? So if if you get a loan right this second, it's just weird because it's kind of good timing that you say this, because we just got the announcement of like student loan interest rates for the next year. And not everything, considering that not everything does get released from these loans, undergraduate loans are 6.5% right now, and parent loans are 9%. I don't know if you saw that, Mark, 9.08%. I'm not a fan of like rooting for loan forgiveness. I'm not sure it's really going to happen. I think this could be a very odd period of time where it has happened. And you know what? If you use some of the money and you haven't used $35,000 of the money, I think that what I might say is, well, you can always roll that money into a Roth as long as you've had the account open for 15 years and you do a little bit at a time. So I still like the 529 plan. It's still my favorite. And the things that are being, I don't know, the things that have been, the loans that have been released are these like old loans where people haven't been paying them anyway. And I hear what you're saying, like it's, with the judgment that you have on this, just from an absolute belief in what do I think is going to happen. I don't think that all loans are going to get released. So I would rather just proceed as you're going right now. And if you feel like you don't want to put more money in there, then just put it into your Roth or your brokerage account and you'll have it. If you have a financial question, it's so easy to get in touch with us. Just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we will get your note. Jill on Money will be right back.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. If you've got a financial question, go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. Let's get to an email. This is from Gregory. Gregory says, my wife and I have about $1.75 million between traditional and Roth IRAs, $230,000 in a Fidelity taxable account, $500,000 in a traditional thrift savings plan, and a remainder of $1.1 million in a Roth. Oh my gosh, my government pensions cover all monthly expenses with money left over. I'm 61, my wife is 56. Most everything is at Vanguard in index funds and bond funds. And in addition to the $1.75 million, we've got some cash and T-bills and credit union, $160,000. All this is to say that I estimate that I'm 85 stock to 15% bonds. I'm in retirement. Should I be more conservative, like a classic 60-40, assuming I can survive the market tanking a bit? You know what's weird? So I think of this in two ways, Gregory. One is like, why take so much risk? You have plenty of money, and the money that you have is, the pensions are covering your expenses. So that one way is to just say, yeah, you could probably pull the risk back and be 60-40 if it doesn't, especially if you don't like the ups and downs too much anymore. Another way to look at it is that you don't need the money. You're investing it maybe for someone else. If you have kids or they're grown, you can stay that way. But this is about how you feel. If you're feeling okay about it, I'm feeling okay about it. Seems good to me. Okay, John says, oh, this is good. I first heard you in March of 2023 on The Compound and Friends with Josh Brown and Michael Batnick, and I've been listening to you ever since. I enjoy your podcast. I think you might be able to help me with a decision. Here's my situation. In December of 2020, I inherited my father's traditional IRA, which was then worth $760,000. My plan was to use the 10-year rule, let it grow tax-free until 2030, and then withdraw it all at once and pay whatever the taxes are at the time. The account is now up to $930,000. I know the 10-year rule is up in the air, but let's assume the IRS continues to waive required minimum distributions for inherited IRAs. Okay. My wife and I are both in our mid-60s, and we've got other investment accounts, brokerage, IRAs, 401ks, worth about $4.7 million. Boy, we got a lot of rich people today, Mark. Our gross income, $500,000 per year, salaries only, not counting dividends and capital gains. I expect our gross income to drop to about $300,000 starting in 2026 when we both retire and take our pensions, federal government civil service, so we're not entitled to Social Security. We also plan to sell our current home when we retire. The house is worth about $1.5 million. It's got a $250,000, 3.3% mortgage remaining. We're going to be moving to another state, one with a higher cost of living, but that does not tax federal pensions. We'll buy a forever home for about $2 million. So here's the question. Should I continue with the original plan to let the IRA grow until the year 2030 and use other accounts to bridge the gap between the proceeds from the sale of our house and the cost of the new home? Second question. Should I start annual withdrawals now and gradually draw down the IRA so it hits zero in 2030, again using other accounts for the new home? Should I make a large withdrawal from the IRA when we move to cover the difference between the two homes? Thanks very much for your take on this. Such a big number, to do it all at once, your gross income at $500,000. I mean, you're kind of like in the situation where if you were to pull it out a little bit at a time, even now, I don't even know if it seems to me you're probably mostly in the 37% bracket if you were to do it all at once. Here's what I think I would do. Presuming the tax rates are the same, because I don't know what's going to happen when these tax rates sunset. I think in 2026, what I would do is 26, 27, 28, 29. So we basically have 5 years. I think that maybe that first year, if you're thinking about like pulling the plug on the house, selling the house, and then you've got to come up with other money, I would start to pull money out of the investment accounts. If possible, can you kind of stagger this so that we can pull the money out of your dad's traditional IRA over the course of the next bunch of years and then manage the tax liability? That's one idea. It's not perfect, and I don't know about all the timing, but I think ideally what I would like to do is try to get the money out a little bit at a time so that you can pull the money out and you're in the 35% bracket, not necessarily getting taxed at the 37% bracket. And I think that would work, and that's why I think I would do it gradually, using some of that money for the new home and other accounts for a new home. But we really want to try to minimize the tax hit. You're going to have a big one. There's no doubt. I mean, I guess the other alternative is to say, rip the Band-Aid off on the year that you when you retire, use the dad's traditional IRA, pay it at the 37% bracket, suck it up, use that money, and be done with it. That's the only other idea that I have. The timing of it is really going to be the issue. And when you actually retire, what is the time of year? What is the gap? And how long will it take for you to get that new house? These are all really important questions. So I don't want to make it seem like this is a nothing question. It's a big question. And so if you'd like to follow up with us, I'm happy to have you on and talk you through it. Okay, I hope that helps. The Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions. And one way you can warm up for the weekend show is to go to our website. Go to JillOnMoney.com and sign up for the free weekly newsletter because it comes out every Friday. You sort of catch up on the news of the week. While you're on the website, don't forget you can check out our YouTube show. It's called Jill on Money, powered by The Compound, and that's a fun video show with all different sorts of things. Interviews, there's short form, there's some of you come on the air with us. It's really great. You can also subscribe to our podcast. We've got two of them, Jill on Money and Money Watch. So all of that is on the JillOnMoney.com website. Right now, let's get to an email. This is from Dixie, who writes, I've always let someone else manage my investments. They've always invested in mutual funds, and I thought that was the best way to diversify. Now I have a local company whose strategy is investing in corporate bonds and preferred stocks. Is this the best strategy? Dixie, it really depends on what's going on in your life. Now, asset allocation is just a way to mix up the different asset classes like stocks or bonds, or maybe it's commodities. And the way that you invest in those can be through individual securities, like an individual corporate bond or an individual stock, or you could buy a mutual fund that invests in commodities, the hard asset. The reality is that the types of assets that blend in together to make your asset allocation are dependent on your risk tolerance. So I'd have to know a lot more about you to figure out whether or not this strategy could work for you, the amount of money you have, and what you've talked to your advisor about. Maybe you've said, I really don't want as much risk, and they're mixing in corporate bonds and stocks to try to tamp down the amount of risk that you're taking overall. Every asset class can have a place in your own portfolio, but it depends on you, your risk tolerance, your time horizon, and the cost of getting you where you want to go. So give us a holler back. We'd love to hear more from you and maybe walk you through what the different options might be. If you have an asset allocation question or any other investment question or any other financial question, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome back. It's the Jill on Money Show. This is the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life, and we do that by asking you to do a tiny bit of work. All you need to do is go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, you will see a button that says Contact Us. You click the button, you write us a note, and that's your email that we receive. If you would like to join us on the air live, very easy to do. All you need to do is check the box, and Mark, the best executive producer in the world, he will do everything else. Now, while you're on the website, we've got a ton of content there. Some of it costs money, some of it is free. Let's start with free. You can sign up for the free weekly newsletter. You can read the blog. You can check out our videos, including our brand new YouTube show called Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. And you can also spend some money. You can buy my book, The Great Money Reset. You can subscribe to Jill on Money Live. That is where for $35 you have access to quarterly live webinars for a year. So $35 for the year. There's bonus video content. And our next webinar is coming up at the end of this month on June 25th. We are focusing on Social Security, and we've got a phenomenal expert. Her name is Heather Schreiber. She is from Ed Slott World, so you know she is high quality. We're going to be talking about claiming strategies, whether or not the Social Security system is going broke, and if it's not, because I don't think it is, what's likely to happen in the future. All of that at JillOnMoney.com. Again, that is Jill on Money Live, our subscription service. Okay, it's time to get back to you. So let's talk to Mary, who's on the line from New York City.
Hi, Jill and Mark. Thank you for taking my call.
Happy to do so. Tell us what's going on.
So I am a 54-year-old from New York. I am working full-time, intend to work as long as work and health would allow me. Recently separated during the pandemic, divorce to be finalized, finances have been separate. I think my financial situation are solid, although we've had some difficulties during the marriage being made to feel having nothing by my ex-spouse. So I have a general question needing advice on financial plans for the future, to how to accumulate wealth, looking for advice on where to invest, how much, how to contribute to retirement funds, how to withdraw retirement when the time comes.
You got a lot on your plate, lady.
Yes, all sorts of questions going on.
Okay.
I think I have listened to your show, binge listening to your show for the past several months, learned a whole lot. So thank you both so much.
We are so happy. Wow, I love a binge listener. So let's start drilling down into some of the numbers. So right now, the assets have been divided up, and so now we're just waiting for like the actual, divorce decree. But you've got the money everything's been transferred wherever it needs to be transferred. So first, let's start with this, Mary. How much do you earn right now?
Somewhere between $225 and $250.
Okay, that's great. And are you making a retirement contribution right now based on this income?
Yes, I have been. So this income is split between two jobs. One is a nonprofit. The other one is the federal government. I have been maxing out on both of those two jobs on the retirement front, or in traditional.
Okay. How much money in the nonprofit? Is that a 403B?
It is.
How much money's in there right now?
It's got about $850.
Okay, that's great. Fantastic. And the federal government, is that a TSP?
It is a TSP. Last I checked, it's got about 500.
Wow. Really amazing. And you said traditional, both are traditional, right?
Right.
Okay, got it. Any other retirement accounts that are outstanding right now?
I don't know where this came from, but I have a very small rollover IRA. It's been just sitting there for many, many years. It's about $85,000 at Vanguard in a total bond market index.
Okay. Got it. Do you have other investments like a brokerage account?
I do have a brokerage account. I think it's about between like 500 to 600,000. Yes.
You made it sound like it was just a little bit of an. Is this at Vanguard also?
It is also at Vanguard.
Okay, got it. In that account, are you continually putting money into that, or in other words, do you put like $1,000 a month in there, or is it just sort of when I build up a bunch of money in my savings, that's when I do it? Is it a more methodical?
I wish it's more methodical, actually.
But not.
Not quite.
Okay.
I have been putting in a couple $1,000s a month.
Okay.
But certainly not as methodical as I would like to be.
Okay. Now you're young. You're 54. Do you have some kids?
I have 3 kids.
How old are they?
15, 17, and 19.
15, 17, and 19. Is 19 in college already?
The 19-year-old is in college.
Okay. And where in college, is this at private, public? How's it being paid for?
It is a private college, and it's being paid for. All 3 of them have 529s. I've been very lucky because their 529s have been fully funded by my parents.
Oh, I love your parents.
So do I. The money aside.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's great. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. And your parents are still alive and doing okay?
They're still alive, fairly healthy. Their financials are very secure, so I don't have to worry about that.
Okay, great. Is there any ongoing obligation to your ex? In other words, you have a lot of money here, but is there anything that you have to pay out to your ex, or your ex has to pay out to you?
So believe it or not, he is the moneyed spouse
Yep.
in this marriage. So I don't have to pay out anything. In fact, right now there is an $8,000 per month child support coming in.
Wow. Okay. And that, what happens with that money for you usually?
What happens to that money goes to the children's expenditures.
And that's what I was wondering, is that, like, based on your $200,000 or $250,000 that you're earning, could you support your family, your three kids and you on that money, or that support is really necessary? That's kind of the question I'm asking.
That support right now is definitely necessary because my two younger ones are still in high school and they're in private school. So tuition is very, very high.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. We'll get back to Mary in just a minute. If you've got a question and you would like us to walk you through different scenarios, or maybe you need a little bit of a pat on the back, a boost, or maybe you need a reality check, both Mark and I are certified financial planners, and we would love to help you out. All you need to do is go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and write us your note. It's that easy. See? It's not hard at all. Jill on Money. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that is trying to help you make better or less bad financial decisions. A lot of you have been contacting us to ask us about the housing market, and I know it's a really rough time in the housing market. I've written a blog about that, so you can check that out at JillOnMoney.com. But if you're considering whether or not to buy or sell in this market that is still pretty dislocated after the pandemic, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we can walk through whether or not you can do this. It really depends on you. It's always all about you. Okay, right now, let's get back to Mary, who's on the line from New York City. It's so hard to actually come up with this number because your expenses are so high right now with the kids, but do you have any idea, if we were looking in the future and planning for your retirement, do you have any idea about what you need for your own retirement income?
My guess is that it's fairly minimal because I don't really spend a whole lot of money.
Yeah, that's because you have kids and you're busy, but you're not going to have that forever.
Right. And I think the things that I like to do tend to not cost a whole lot of money.
Well, let me ask you this. What number should we plug in there? When you say it's very low, how much do you think?
I would say $5,000 at most.
I'm making it $6,000. I'm going to make you spend more money. Okay. Will you be entitled to a pension from the federal government?
Yes. A small one so far. It is right now just under $10,000
a year.
Yes, okay. I think so.
Okay, I gotcha. How long do you think you want to work? If we're just going to, again, this is just plugging in some numbers to give you an idea. But when you look ahead, how much? I know you have a 15-year-old. So, is it 10 more years that you think you want to work just to get the 15-year-old through college, or what do you think?
At least that.
Okay.
I actually like my job.
Oh, good.
So I'm hoping to work longer. But I don't know
67 or 70?
I can foresee the next 5 years. My job is fairly secure for the next 5 years. After the 5 years, it really depends on whether we get grants, whether my position is supported or not, because all of it is temporary, essentially.
Right. Understood. Okay. When you look ahead at, say, Social Security, do you happen to know what your benefit might be at age 67, your full retirement age, or at age 70?
So at full retirement age of 67, right now the retirement benefit is at $3,600 per month.
Yep. And at 70?
I did not look at that.
All right. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Do you own a home?
I do own a home. After the separation, I bought a house for 1.15 million because we live in a high cost area.
Yep.
I have a mortgage that is at 350.
350,000.
Yes.
Okay. What's the mortgage interest rate?
5%.
5%. Not bad. Not bad. Is that the only debt that you have outstanding, the home mortgage?
There is some other short-term debt, about 30,000 short-term debt from home renovations that was done in the past several years, but they would be paid off in the next year or so.
Okay. You told me about the $500,000 or $600,000 in the brokerage account. Is there any reason we should use some of that money to pay off this $30,000? What's the interest rate on that debt?
That debt actually is interest deferred.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So
okay.
I'm not trying to pay it off.
Okay, I understood. In addition to the brokerage account, which you said is about $500,000 or $600,000, is there also some savings squirreled away somewhere?
There is a emergency fund. From listening to you, I have about $60,000 in it. Of that, about $30,000 is earmarked for some other home renovation because I have a very, very old house that need a lot of work done.
Okay. And if you look at the brokerage account right now, all that money that's at Vanguard, that $500,000 or $600,000, how is that mostly invested?
Mostly 80% is in the total stock index fund.
So it's just been killing it, going up, 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 up. And are you comfortable with that, with that risk level?
I think so, yes.
Okay. If you were to give me sort of the amount of money right now, so you said $225,000 to $250,000 is, income. You're maxing out your 403B and your thrift savings plan. Is that include the catch-up contributions because you're over the age of 50?
Yes, it does.
Okay. What are you thinking about? Like when you say to me, like, I need some advice about a financial plan, it seems to me that when you came on the air and said that, I was ready to write down much smaller numbers. So what I want to tell you is I think as a 54-year-old recently divorced person, you've got a lot of money. And you should take a deep breath and know that, you have $2 million essentially, and the kids' college is paid for. So that you're doing great. And presuming you're going to work for another 10 years or so, and, I know 5 is only like the near term that you can bet on. But this is all fantastic news. You're doing exactly what you should be doing. Okay? You are absolutely,
Thanks very much.
You really are. So congratulations on that. I'm wondering, do either of your retirement accounts offer Roth versions?
I think at least one of them do.
I mean, the thing is, I know you live in a high cost, high tax state. So I get that. But I'm wondering whether, one of the issues that I see is that you have some of this, what we call sort of like this deferred retirement account ticking time bomb. That's what my friend
Yes.
Ed Slott would say. That, it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. So I wonder if it might make sense for you to start using a Roth for at least one of these retirement accounts. Look, if that's the worst thing that's happening, that's pretty darn good. Like if that's the only thing I'm really worried about here. So I would try to do that. And maybe what I would also think about doing is, as you go forward, I'd love for you to really get a handle on what you think your real needs are spending wise. It doesn't have to happen right this second, but I think that you're doing everything right. You've got a lot of money that you've squirreled away. You've gotten the house done. For the years that you're how many more years do we get child support until the youngest is what, 23, 1? What is it?
I think after she goes to college.
Okay. So, while you're still getting that child support, what I do think is good is if you put some money in the Roth, you keep building up the brokerage account. I mean, let's say that it is age 67 that you actually retire. And let's even say that you, for 5 more years, you make this level of money. But even if you make less money after that, even if you say, well, I don't want to work 2 jobs, I'm only going to work one of these jobs, right? You can earn less money and let your money do the heavy lifting. You absolutely can do that. And you will not have to save as much money. You just don't spend a lot of money. So if you're saying to me $6,000 a month, and we know that, Social Security at age 67 is $3,600, what I think would likely happen is that when you are looking at winding down and not working anymore, and maybe not even working as much, you start pulling money out of the pre-tax accounts, pay the tax that's due, right? So you don't compound this problem every single year until you have to pull the money out at 75. And that's how we get some of the money out. You're doing what you should be doing. I will just caution you a teeny tiny bit about as you get older and nearing retirement. I know, you've got the Vanguard Total Bond Index in one rollover, but if all of this money, and most of it is like 80% stocks, I would start to say that, in 5 years, you might want to start scaling that back a little bit. Every time you have one of these big drops in the stock market, it doesn't bother you because you're working. Once you have to actually rely on this money and start pulling money out, it might bother you a little bit more. There's more with Mary around the corner. This is the Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that is trying to help you make better financial decisions. It could be about anything going on in your financial life. It could be about a job choice, a housing choice, a portfolio question, an investment question, a question about something going on in the economy that you don't understand. We are here to demystify all things financial in your life or overall. So give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. It's so easy to do. Right now, we're going to wrap up with Mary from New York City. The only other thing that I would consider now is that presuming you have all of your estate planning done, because that usually happens after you get divorced, do you have life insurance? And did you? I'm wondering if something happened to you, are the kids taken care of by your moneyed ex?
I do have some term life insurance with my employer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you think that's sufficient. It's about 3 times total salary.
Well, I mean, if God forbid something happened to you, wouldn't your ex be able to take care of the kids?
I believe so.
All right. I like that you believe so. I would hope so, right?
Right. The kids are really not that young, right?
Yeah, exactly. Are there any other assets that you have that we have not accounted for? Because maybe you probably don't need life insurance in that respect. Is there anything else that's out there?
We do have the previous family home.
Mm-hmm.
We still own it, so I own half of it.
Oh.
It's being rented out currently. The rent is about $8,000 a month, and the rent is coming to me for now.
Wait, 100%?
Because I'm managing it.
Oh, I see. How much is the property worth?
The property is worth a lot. It should be about $1.6 million. The taxes are also very high. It's upward of $30,000 a year.
Huh.
So we're still making some money out of the rental.
But why not sell it?
When we were separating, the market wasn't doing so well, so we didn't quite sell it, and now it's been on the rental.
But this thing that's worth $1.6 million, it's just taxes. There's no. Is there a mortgage outstanding?
No, there is no mortgage on it.
Okay, so is this something that will be sold, and like you should get $800,000 eventually?
Yes, that's the idea.
Okay.
My children, in fact, loves the house so much, and so they're hoping that I don't sell it.
Oh boy.
But at the same time, I don't think I have the money to buy my ex-spouse out of that. Is there a way I may be able to do that you can see?
Look, I think it sort of depends on what the next few years will bring to you. Is there any way, let me ask you this. If we saw, like in a few years, is there any reason why you would ever want to move back into it?
Not particularly.
Okay.
The house is really big.
All right, then I don't see why we would do it then. If you said to me, oh my God, I would love to actually move back there and be there, and that's like the family homestead, and that's where I want to like live my retirement, then we could figure it out. But if not, sell it. Get the kids over this. Time will go by. They'll be fine. There's
Okay.
no reason to buy him out. The only reason would be to buy him out would simply be that you want to move back in. In 5 years, if you're a college graduate, right, if you got 2 kids out of college and they want to buy it, yeah, sure. We'll be happy to buy it for them. But come on, let's move on. And that equity, they'll be happier to have the money from the equity. You're in great shape. I wouldn't use your money to buy that house out. No way.
Thank you. That makes sense.
And
I needed to share that.
is there anything else that is on your mind? Because I think you're in great shape.
Thank you for that. How would you go about doing the Roths?
So, I mean, what you would do is I would open either the 403B or the federal government has a Roth option, right?
Yes.
Okay. So all you would do is you would say to them, you change it. You'd say, instead of doing pre-tax, I'm using the Roth. And that's what you would do. And that would be, for the next certain bunch of years. You don't have to. When you stop working, it may be a time where you start to say, okay, I'll convert it. I don't want you to burn up. See, the problem for you is you have this brokerage account, which is great. I'm not sure you're going to want to sell what's in the brokerage account, realize the gain, then use that to actually convert from a traditional to a Roth option. So I think we might do that, but it might be 5 years from now. I'd have to really see where you are and whether or not that makes sense. For the time being, now the money that's going into retirement accounts, use the Roth option instead of using the pre-tax option.
Wouldn't I have to pay fairly high taxes
Yep.
right now?
But yes, and I mean, look, you have high income right now, but if you want to, you're going to have to pay these taxes at some point in the future, right? So I guess that what the time you can at least try to experiment a little bit with it. If you don't want to do that and you really say, no, I'm receiving too much income, Jill, I'm single, I've got $200,000 or $250,000 of income right now. And then if I add it all up, all that money that I make from the child support and from the rental, all that money keeps me in the 35% tax bracket. So if you want to keep using the pre-tax option, all that will do is it will kick the can down the road, and maybe later on, 5 years, 10 years, you will be in a lower tax bracket. Maybe that'll happen. But just remember, whatever's in there, that $1.3 million, actually 1.4 with your old rollover, that will continue to accumulate. So I'm okay if you want to use the pre-tax accounts. That will help you tax-wise now. Just know taxes will have to be paid eventually on this money. And you may be in a lower tax bracket and you may not. But if that's a risk you're willing to take, that's fine too.
I understand. Thank you so much.
Makes sense?
That does make sense.
All right, my friend. Mary in New York, happily divorced and on her way. Next chapter, baby. Move on. If you'd like to join us, just go to JillOnMoney.com. That's our website. And click the Contact Us button. It's very easy to do. It's all there at JillOnMoney.com. There are podcasts, there's a blog, there are videos, and there's our YouTube show, Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. Everything lives at JillOnMoney.com. The Jill on Money Show. We will be right back.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are answering financial questions. And often we'll get this same person, the same family who comes on the air. It's anonymous. Ms. Anonymous, her subject is reallocation help. Dear Jill and Mark, I recently discovered your podcast and I love it. Ms. Anonymous is 60 years old, single, lives in Brooklyn. No children, a dog with expensive taste. I have 2 of those. Okay. I'm a freelancer and I'm paid via W-2. I make anywhere between $100,000 to $160,000 a year. No pension, no health insurance, no 401k, no debt except for a $67,000 mortgage. That sounds pretty good. I would love advice on how to reallocate my savings. I'm rapidly aging out of my field, but I hope to hold on for the next 5 years and then possibly work part-time until age 67. Okay. I have a traditional IRA, $330,000 in Vanguard's healthcare fund, and then a Roth IRA with $126,000 in the same fund. Mark, you think she works in healthcare? There are 2 more traditional IRAs, Growth Fund of America, $187,000. Vanguard High Dividend Fund, $32,000, and then a Roth in Vanguard's Wellington Fund worth $20,000. I also have an inherited IRA that's worth $45,000. I also inherited stocks that are worth $248,000 in a brokerage account and $167,000 in stocks that I have been managing, not always so successfully. Well, a lot of money so far that we're recounting here. Cash on hand, $240,000, $128,000 in CDs, the rest in a high-yield checking account. Okay, I know I have too much tied up in the healthcare field. It's been doing very well, and even though it's a bit volatile, want to know whether she should streamline stocks, wondering what to do with the proceeds. Okay, yes, okay, healthcare is great, but we don't need to, you have like a big bet on one sector, and it has been doing well, so what a good time to actually reallocate. So given that you have the healthcare fund and it's an IRA, you don't have to worry about any capital gains. So this is a wonderful time to do it. And I would just actually reallocate and make it an index portfolio. You can use index exchange traded funds. You can use index mutual funds, whatever you want. And I would have a large stock fund, an international stock fund. I would also have an intermediate term bond fund. And I don't know, what else don't you have? You have the Growth Fund of America, which is a good fund. You've already paid a lot of fees on that. You have a high dividend fund and the Wellington Fund. What else can we put in there? Maybe I put in like either a precious metals fund or maybe a real estate investment trust, something like that. But you should have a little bit more diversification because you really have so much in that healthcare sector. And I don't care how well it's done. It's probably too much. In terms of the stocks, I think that what I want to know is whether any of these stocks have low cost basis, whether any losses are out there. Maybe you can do the same thing with the stock portfolio, but we'd have to really get you on the air and find out what's in there. I'm guessing healthcare stocks. And one way to reallocate is to take some of the money that's in CDs or cash, and maybe as the CDs come due, you start investing some of that money in a bond fund because you're a little aggressive given where you are in your life. Okay. This is a question from Regina, who writes, "Hello, Jill. My husband and I are interested in setting up either a revocable or irrevocable trust." Okay. Since we really don't know much about this subject, I'm wondering if you could suggest any reading material that would help us gain some information on the correct way to go about setting up a trust. We would appreciate any information you could provide. Thanks, Regina. Okay. Regina, take a deep breath. Okay. Revocable is a changeable trust. Irrevocable is not changeable, meaning once you create a document where you have an irrevocable trust and you fund that trust, you can't do anything else about it. It's done. And you can read up on the subject simply by, kind of going online and reading about, what is the difference between a revocable and irrevocable trust. But really, the best thing that I can suggest to you is to talk to an estate attorney who can help you decide whether or not you need a revocable or irrevocable trust. You know, revocable trust can be used to do lots of different things. It can be a way to pass assets more easily upon your death. It can be a way to maybe make sure that any asset that you have inside of a trust avoids probate. It can also help you maybe treat your kids slightly differently inside of a trust document. It's a much easier thing to do. It's not that hard. It's just a question of whether you really need it or not. And an irrevocable trust is usually, it's usually when you want the money that is or the assets that are placed inside of the trust to be outside of your estate, often used a lot for estate taxes, planning, maybe if you have a special needs child. All these reasons would prompt one to think about an irrevocable trust. So I say you can search for it, or you can just talk to an attorney, which is also very easy to do. If you have a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. While you're there, you've got to check out Jill on Money Live. For $35, you get 4 quarterly webinars. The next one coming up this month, Heather Schreiber. She's a Social Security expert, and it's going to be a vibrant conversation. June 25th, 7 p.m., Jill on Money Live. And we will be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we conclude the program, I would be remiss if I did not tell you, as I always do, to go to our website to find all of the content that we create all the time. It's all there at JillOnMoney.com. There are podcasts, there's a blog, there are videos. There's a link to buy my book, The Great Money Reset. There's a link to subscribe to Jill on Money Live, where we will be focusing on Social Security at our next webinar. Again, that's going to cost you a few shekels. And there's our YouTube show, Jill on Money, powered by The Compound. Everything lives at JillOnMoney.com. So please bookmark it and check it out. All right, before we conclude the program, let's do one last question. This is from Donna, who writes, my daughter has been home with us temporarily, saving to purchase her own home within the next 6 months. She's been sharing a car with us for a bit and wants to lease her own car now, which leads me to the big question. If she leases a car now, how would it affect the mortgage approval chances? Or if she gets a mortgage pre-approved and then leases a car, how would that affect things? By the way, her income is in the low 200,000s currently, and she does have a down payment of $125,000. Donna, I think the best bet is to talk to a mortgage broker who can give you a more complete picture on the order in which she should do this and how she might feel the impact of doing so. It is a really good story. I don't know how old she is, but she has that down payment, and I'm sure she's keeping that money safe, not putting it at risk in the market. But that's a wonderful story, and good for her that she's kind of conserving her spending and living home before she takes the plunge into the housing market. Okay, that is it. That is the program. As a reminder, everything that we do lives on our website at JillOnMoney.com. All you need to do if you've got a question is go there, click the Contact Us button, we'll get your note. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer and king of all things web. We ask you to please try to do something nice for someone else today. It's going to make that person feel better. It will make you feel better. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week.